Hello, welcome to the floor in my office. Now, what are we talking about? More and more and more. We're getting recommendations for when lifting, when exercising, to press the big toe down into the floor to create stability. Alright, now, why might that be an issue? Why don't I like it? If your goal is simply to lift as much weight as you can lift, if you're a power lifter and this is something that helps you be a better power lifter, do you know what? Go for it. You're lifting for the sake of lifting. Lifting is your sport, it's what you do. Crack on. Now, if, like me and the vast majority of the people I've trained, you are lifting to support something that you do, either it's you're lifting to support your lifestyle, which is my current reason for lifting. Maybe you're lifting because you're a fighter, you're a Thai boxer, you're a jiu-jitsu player, you're a runner, a GA player, whatever. Then your lifting is there to improve what you do. All right, not to take over from. All right, and I've had this argument many times with athletes, particularly lads, who start to mistake or start to think mistakenly along the lines of, if I get stronger, if I get my deadlift higher, my squat goes up, then I will be better at my sport. That is not the case. There's a point where chasing strength is no longer useful. All right. There's a point whereby you are lifting, putting so much effort, so much energy, so much neural energy, so much physical energy into the lifting that you no longer have that energy reserve to put into your technical training, your sports training. You can't train at the intensity you need to. But anyway, that's not what I'm talking about today. What I'm talking about today is the biomechanics of this thing, yeah, which is that without its clothes on, and why this big toe doesn't want to be jammed in the ground. Now, if you've done any basic anatomy physiology training, you might have come across this thing called the windlass mechanism, which basically says that when you lift this big toe, that muscle, the flexor hallucis longus, that runs through there, through here, around and up the outside of the shin there, three fulcrums that it passes over, which is what a windlass is. A windlass is a way of increasing force through the use of fulcrums. Usually sort of pulley wheels. Now, so when this toe lifts, what should happen is the whole foot should supinate. Yeah, it should start to arch up. And as the toe comes down, when the toe comes down, the foot should flatten. Okay, the foot should really do two things and two things only. All right, it should supinate, which is to arch, and it should pronate, which is to flatten. Okay, you see the heel rolling there. If I turn it this side, which is medial arch, that comes towards the floor, the foot gets longer, the foot gets wider. That is it flattening. Pronation, which usually ends the moment this toe hits the ground, that is your mobile adapter. That's when you are fully loaded, you are sprung, ready to pop away. When you supinate, this becomes what's known as the rigid lever. That becomes really, really pretty damn solid. Yeah, this is what you want when you're pushing off. Yeah, there's your rigid lever. That's what gives you your bang. Alrighty. Now, part of talking about your foot, you can't talk about the foot without talking about the tripod idea, which is the knuckle. See these two little bumps there? The sesamoid bones. Knuckle of the big toe, knuckle of the little toe, and the heel. They make the tripod. Okay? Get those 3 on the floor. Make sure your weight is centered. Now that could be your own weight. That could be the combined weight of you and the load you're lifting, the barbell, the kettlebell, the sandbag, the person, whatever. Yeah. Put that right above here at the middle of the foot. Yeah. Roughly where your laces would tie. Yeah. Now, that's going to be more or less in the center of the tripod. So when you lower into your squat, this will happen. When you drive out of that squat, this will happen. You lower into the squat. Notice the shin bone comes forward, look. There's the knees up above that. Loading into the tripod. Not the big toe. The big toe stops this movement happening. Who knew? And if these aren't moving, something else is probably going to move. Do you know what? If that helps torque the system, get greater elastic loading for lifting a greater load, fair enough. You're a power lifter. Bosh. But if you're looking for athletic performance, this puppy here, this is what's on the ground, isn't it? The rest of these up here, moving about, yeah? This is what you land into and push off of, yeah? This is what you spring off of. This is what you brake and change direction on. This little fucker has to be strong, has to be mobile, okay? Doesn't have to be super mobile, has to be mobile enough. Train not to press this down, but to keep these toes as relaxed and as much out of the game as possible. You'll often see videos of me standing on a box and my toes are actually hanging off. Let's do it that way. My toes are hanging off, particularly when I'm doing single leg work. This makes it much more difficult to balance, especially with my ankle history. That one down there. Very, very badly damaged. But when I stand, now my foot has to find the strength and stability within itself. Yep, all these muscles. And if I wiggle my fingers, see that? Yeah? Yeah? Look, if I wiggle the fingers, a bit less clear on this side, right? Yeah, you see that? The whole forearm dances, doesn't it? The hand and the foot are analogous of each other. They're almost the same. The shape's different, but the muscle structure is very, 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 very similar. Now, if you were to keep your fingers relaxed, you've got a lot of movement, a lot of mobility. That's pretty cool. You were to tense them fingers, now that movement's pretty nasty. It's no longer athletic, all right? It's good for standing still, grinding. It's not good for pop, fast change of direction of movement. So, how strong, how much weight, I should say, does a sprinter, a kickboxer, a GA player, how much weight do they need to actually squat? Maybe a little bit more than last week, but there's no actual limit. You know, you're not chasing a powerlifter's goal. To win this category, I have to squat 250 kilos. I'm chasing the world record of, I have no idea what the world record is. Excuse me. Bit of a chest infection I'm getting over still. But this needs to move. And if you do your squats, especially your single leg work, bilateral work, both will move to some degree. That's why you see when people squat, their knees come in. Should I jump up and show you that? Alright, let's see if we can demo that. Alright, that'll do. So when you squat and you see people's knee cave in, what's the shadow under my feet? Shadow changes, doesn't it? Right? Both feet pronate. Then as the hip runs out of space, they'll resupinate. Now that gives me space. Adductors can kick in. Boom! Now my glutes and quads are better loaded. And that gets me the rest of the way out. Yeah? Big toe pressing on the ground has become a thing to do. Not a fan of it. I'd rather you didn't do it. It's up to you whether you ultimately do or don't. But you come to my clinic and I see you pressing a big toe on the ground. One of the first things we're going to do is look at why you're not able to load through the knuckle. We stick wedges under the foot. We try and relax the big toe, and all of a sudden your foot starts to move, tension leaves the system, mobility and athleticism begins to return. Right, that's all from me for now. I've got to run. Chat to you soon.